Good morning, everybody. My name is Nigel Walker from Farmer's Almanac. I'm here with Bryce Velletri, Project Director from GloBiz. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, Nigel.
So we're here at Le Frac Point, the lighthouse here in the northern point of New Jersey. And we're looking over our shoulders, as we can see out, to a beautiful shot of New York City. Thank you very much for coming over and taking this interview with Farmer's Almanac. Great pleasure to meet you in person for the first time. And we'd like to hear a little bit more about what's going on with your good self as a project director at GloBiz. And let's talk about the future of healthcare. GloBiz is a prestigious Canadian organization with roots across Europe and North America. What's going on at GloBiz with regards to the future of healthcare amidst the COVID-19 crisis?
We have increased our ability to supply personal protective equipment to various hospitals and healthcare institutions. We have initiated some different expansions to our business, including logistics, GMP warehousing, packaging, and distribution, in addition to continuing to refine and perfect comparator sourcing and supply, which is something we've been doing for over 10 years for some of the top pharmaceutical companies in the world.
You referenced comparator sourcing for GloBiz. This is something that's been absolutely critical. There's been supply chain challenges across Asia, Europe, and North America, not only from ventilators, but from basic raw materials that go into the drugs that we use on a daily basis. So how is GloBiz tackling that challenge? And what types of services and vision do you actually have for GloBiz to take that forward?
With COVID, there's been a shortage of a number of medications, both used for comparators and in everyday treatment. This is a function of production shutting down across the globe, both in India, in the United States, in any of the major API producing markets. In order to address that, what we've been able to do is reach out to various wholesalers, suppliers, and producers to try to determine alternative sources for those drugs and to procure and bring them to where they need to be. This is very important because, of course, if patients are missing doses in trials, the data is invalidated.
And of course, for clinical trials, which is a very critical component of the industry for GloBiz, this is completely changed. The traditional way of taking a clinical trial, bringing in all your resources to a central point, having your patients come to a central point, this is changing. How do you see the clinical trials business in the next 10 years evolve from what you've seen over the last 5 months, and how different clinical trials are now driving?
I see increased decentralization of clinical trials and increasingly adaptive clinical trial models being utilized. When I say decentralized, what I mean is instead of bringing patients to a central site for dosing, administration, etc., and requiring them to keep coming back to that site, what we're seeing is the patient screened and dosed at day one at the central site, and then increasingly allowed to go home and receive their drug locally or at a local center. Decentralization favors therapies that are known to have a strong safety profile, that are known to have few unexpected adverse reactions, that are known to have relatively easy administration or low administration burden.
And you're seeing this both on the biologic side as well on small molecule?
Absolutely. We're also seeing differences in screening. Biopsy requirements are changing. During COVID, typically if you have a patient that's frail, you don't want to be bringing them in for surgery and keeping them overnight. This is going to alter supply considerations for sponsors. In terms of remote monitoring, if the patient is being treated locally, this is also going to change sourcing considerations for sponsors. There's a number of things that are really changing coming out of COVID.
So as with all of our organizations and our clients across the globe, working from home has been a challenge when you're looking to bring a client to a site to do an audit. How have you managed to handle that challenge?
Carefully. We are cognizant that we need all of our sites to be GMP, and we hold them all to the highest standard. So we still do in-person audits. However, we have been hesitant to bring on new suppliers during the time of COVID because of the challenges auditing sites. We're hopeful that as things return to a new normal, that we can continue doing these audits and bringing new partners on board, but we're not willing to compromise the safety or integrity of our products or vendors as we progress.
As we look forward to the future of healthcare, let's say 2040, which is 20 years from now, where do you see GlobyZ, the business, the services, the size of the organization, and how you're servicing ultimately the patient?
Ultimately, our goal is to be an end-to-end partner for clinical trial supply, distribution, logistics, and packaging. We would like to be well positioned to support our clients with the highest level of service and integrity in procuring product, distributing product, packaging product, assisting with trials in any way that they need, supplying ancillary supplies. In terms of the scope of the organization, I think that we certainly hope to grow both geographically and in headcount. And in the broad diversity of our offerings, we hope to continue to expand.
I think we're going to try to take our masks off. So why don't we do that right now? The topic of gene therapy, number one right now in the published media. As I understand, a specialty for GlobyZ. Tell me more.
Gene therapies can be potentially curative. They can avert a lifetime of treatment. The challenge is, how does one create an apples to apples comparison against the traditional standards of care? Where GlobyZ can assist with this is we can source the standard of care and provide it for the clinical trial in order to assist in creating that baseline. This better allows sponsors to understand their incremental improvement over the traditional standard of care and way of treating the disease. We can see this in certain genetic forms of blindness and also in hemophilia A and a number of other diseases where gene therapies are in development.
Gene therapy, as you just discussed, is at the forefront of medicine today. Where do you believe that gene therapy is going to go in 20 years from now? Maybe with the subject of personalized medicine to the individual.
Coming out of academia, we will see better diagnostics, driving better understandings of the genetics and the epigenetics, which is the crossover of lifestyle and genetics, and how that interacts within the human body, meaning immune expression, meaning the expression of diseases, of symptoms, etc. What that means for industry is that we need to consider the latest technology, the latest published papers, the latest knowledge, and push the envelope of where we can go. GlobyZ is equipped to help in this space because a lot of these therapies require very complex logistics. You have products that require cryogenic freezing, products that have a very short shelf life, products that have to be tailored to a patient, identifiable to a patient, brought to the airport. If you get stuck in a traffic jam, they're done. Being able to handle these challenges is something that only the best logistics companies and comparator suppliers can be trusted with.
So the GlobyZ CEO, Salman Pathan, talks to me about extending the services of the business. Tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
We've opened a new facility located in Boothwyn, Pennsylvania, in the United States. It's our new US headquarters. It's a beautiful GMP facility located minutes from the Philadelphia airport, so we can distribute quickly and efficiently all over the world.
As we wrap up here with Bryce Velletri, Project Director at GlobyZ, on the road to 2021, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.